but against the party.
Exactly.
Oh, shit.
We may get somebody arrested in the case of Tupac Shakur and his murder in 1996. That's how long ago this took place. Almost, damn. That's almost, 30 years ago, right? We're getting close. Tupac has been dead longer than he was actually alive, I believe, on factually, correct?
I think so. How old was he when he was killed? Let's see. So almost 30 years.
25, I believe. So
he's been dead 27.
Yeah. What's going on? It's very interesting if you followed this saga for the last couple of decades. It's been very interesting. There's everything from the rumors of, Tupac is still alive to who shot Tupac. In the last many years, I'd say the last 10 years or so, I think it's really been established who likely did kill Tupac. They are, however, dead now. But there have been other members of that entourage who have come out and have flat out said, you know what? I was in the car. That kind of makes you an accomplice to a murder if you don't realize that. It's now we may be actually seeing some of this come to light. And seemingly what was the cold case of Tupac Shakur's murder has unexpectedly found its way back into the limelight, thrust there by recent events involving and concerning Duane Keith D. Davis, a man who has been long associated with one of the most notorious homicides in the history of music. The investigation kicked back into action this last week with the execution of a search warrant at the home linked to Keefe D, further intensifying the ongoing speculation about his alleged involvement in Tupac's death. Keefe D was born June 14th of 1963 as a member of the South Side Compton Crips, a gang renowned within California crime scene. He was a childhood friend of Eazy E, but his real notoriety stems from the enduring allegations that he was involved in the murder of Tupac in 1996. These allegations have followed him many years. A new search warrant served in 2023 now has reignited the conversation around his potential involvement in this crime. The warrant was executed on a property in Henderson, Nevada on July 17th of 23, stirring up a whirlwind of curiosity, speculation, and hope for resolution in this very long unsolved murder case. The residence owned by Paula Clemens, which is Keefe D's wife, became the center of attention as law enforcement officials scoured it for any shred of evidence that could bring more clarity to the nearly 3 decades old case. The investigators are reportedly in search of personal notes, photos, and other documents that might be related to Tupac's death. Despite the high stakes and the public interest in the case, it remains unclear whether the police have found any new significant evidence during their search. The occupants of the house, understandably shaken by the events, have chosen to remain silent and refusing to comment on the ongoing investigation. Davis has been a very controversial figure since the mid-'90s. His name often surfacing in connection to Tupac's death. In 2018, Keefe D shocked the public by admitting in the BET docuseries Death Row Chronicles that he was in the car that pulled up alongside Tupac Shakur and Suge Knight on the ill-fated evening. He confessed that the fatal shots came from the backseat of the very car he was in, although he remained coy about identifying who the shooter actually was. And we'll get to that in a moment. These statements, coupled with a recent search warrant on his property, have revived the accusations against Davis, casting a renowned spotlight on his alleged involvement in the crime. However, Davis was consistently refuting these allegations beforehand. Despite the mounting pressure and renewed public interest, he has maintained his innocence, other than admitting that he was in the car and dismissing accusations as mere obsessions of his critics. Yeah.
I remember when this happened, and now in the year 2023, as we're recording this, shootings are no big deal. And that feels awful to say. Yeah. But when this happened back in 97, it was not common.
No, it wasn't.
No, and when we heard that, there was this drive-by shooting of sorts, it was startling. It was scary. It was like, oh my God, could that happen to one of us? And now, in today's world, we're like, go to a movie theater, look around and go, who might have a gun in here? So it's become a little more commonplace now in our world, but back then it wasn't.
The individual that many believe was the actual gunman in the shooting of Tupac was Orlando Anderson. He actually shares a familial connection to Keefe D that goes beyond their involvement in just the murder of Tupac. Keefe D is Orlando Anderson's uncle. In fact, he's long been public knowledge that he has added another layer to this web of intrigue surrounding the infamous case by simply being that familial connection. Orlando, also known by his nickname Baby Lane, was a member of the South Side Compton Crips as well, the same gang which Keefe D belongs. Anderson's name came to prominence in connection with Tupac's murder with Keefe D during the filming of a Netflix docuseries called Unsolved: The Tupac and Biggie Murders, made the explosive claim that it was Anderson who pulled the trigger on the night of September 7th, 1996. He asserted that not only was Anderson responsible for the fatal shooting, but that he, Keefe D, was in the car with Anderson at the time. He's admitted it twice that he was in the fucking car. So I don't know. What are you looking for exactly other than he was in the car? It probably is. That's the end of the story, is that he was in the car.
Yeah. I mean, what are you looking for? A gun 27 years later? It's probably gone.
Yeah. Anderson himself has long been suspected in Tupac's murder, with some claiming that the killing was retaliation for a beatdown that Anderson received from Tupac and his entourage just hours before the shooting, which happened in the lobby of the MGM Grand. There's the security footage of that happening by the fountain. Every time if I'm in Vegas and I'm by that fountain, I like to reenact that moment. I'm just a random person. I just put on some Tupac, and I'm just like, hey, who wants to get slapped down or whatever? But I do think of that when I'm over there. Anderson denied these allegations until he ultimately died in 1998, a result of gang-related shootings unrelated to Tupac's death. Not surprising at all, really, that he died in 1998, but probably also why they've never really found the murderer, because he's dead. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what consequences you would have for Keefe D at this time, other than I'm sure there's some charges that could be brought for not reporting being in the car, having knowledge of a murder that's unsolved. There's got to be something there. I don't know what the charge actually would be. Then he'd have to claim he was not knowledgeable or prove that he didn't have knowledge of what was going on. But certainly on a cover-up level, he did, to the point of admitting it on television multiple times. So where this goes, I don't know. Will Tupac ever have justice? I don't know what justice would be at this point. Anderson is dead. These people were there, but there were so many shady figures around Tupac at that point in his life. So where this goes, I don't know. Your mic was down. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, that's okay. That's okay. I don't think we're ever going to know. I think we have theories, and I'm surprised that they're putting any effort into this, because the likely person is no longer here anymore. Why are we putting our time into this?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have the answer. The whole no snitch thing, you're probably never going to get anybody to actually tell you who did it. Shug even said in an interview that if you know who did it, would you tell the police? And he said, hell no.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who know about it, but they also know there's consequences if they voice that. So if somebody did snitch, boy, they better be watching over their shoulder, because this is one of those mysteries of, like who shot JFK. I don't think we're ever going to know the real truth.
I think on this one we do. I think you have many people from that vehicle that have spoken about it, and the one who hasn't is dead. And the ones who are alive say it wasn't me, but we do know who. I mean,
but how convenient, though. You've got a dead guy, blame it on the dead guy.
True, but when you look at the configuration of how people were in the vehicle at the time, and you really go into that, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, so, that's true. I wasn't thinking rationally about that.
I mean, could it be somebody else? Sure, but I think the odds are it was Orlando Anderson. But I'm sorry, this culture of like, we're not going to snitch or this, it's fucking stupid. I mean, I get like there's been plenty of, bad policing that's been done and probably created this culture because of that. But at some point, we need to kind of get back to or get to, I don't say get back because I don't think we ever were in a place where everyone felt safe doing that. I want to say there's the good old days where people could just go to the police. No, if you were black, you probably couldn't. It probably was not a good idea for your own well-being at different points in time. But we need to get to a place that we've probably never been to yet, where that sort of attitude and that sort of demeanor and that sort of belief system is a thing of the past. And I don't think you can just flip a switch and make everybody do that because there's some justification for it. I recognize that. But wouldn't it be nice if we were in a world where people were accountable, and if you saw somebody do something, you wouldn't have to feel threatened or scared if you actually did report it?
I can't imagine that. I'd like to, but I'm not sure I can.
Yeah. I don't know that we'll ever truly be there, but that's the latest. We don't get Tupac news that much, so
no.
I thought we're talking about Tupac today, and it was kind of fun.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts, and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.
You're consuming the Hidden Killers Podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts, and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member, exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers Podcast, dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.